Yes, I love that intro music. Welcome everyone, welcome one and all to our new show called The Magic Hat Show, where you'll get views from 3 avid Arsenal fans, long life Arsenal fans. All of us will be discussing everything Arsenal from week to week. But what we're going to do this session, we're going to discuss the season and give our reviews individually. So guys, where do we start? How was the season for you?
Well, firstly, let's introduce ourselves. Leroy, Jamal, and I'm Gabriel.
Yep.
The season for me was a complete mishmash of emotions.
Hell yeah.
Up and down, sideways, anger, joy, disillusionment. It was what every Arsenal fan has come to expect in the last few years, I believe.
Of course.
Yeah, like it.
So, starting at the very beginning, under Emery, at the beginning of the season, the club looked lost. The club looked rudderless, ambitionless.
Yep.
With some owner more interested in building some fancy air-conditioned stadium in America, maybe to keep his toupee nice and dry.
Yeah.
But he wasn't interested in this club here in London.
Exactly.
You know, people were wondering what the hell he bought it for.
Yeah.
Maybe just to add it to his portfolio.
Yep.
But under Emery, the start of the season was chaotic. Fans started getting restless. Emery's tenure came to a chaotic end with Xhaka and his antics.
Yeah, the pantomime villain.
Yeah. And from then it just moved on to Freddie, who sort of stabilised us for the short time he was in charge. Yep. Then Mikel came in, and from the very moment that man took charge, and I know Arsenal fans all over the world were watching his interview on YouTube. Mm-hmm. I think he struck the right chord, the right tone in what he was saying.
Yeah.
And there was a slight bit of belief. Absolutely. Obviously, the proof would have had to be in the pudding.
Yeah.
You know, words can just be empty gestures, but he proceeded to back up his words with actions.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my view of the season in a quick nutshell.
In a quick snap.
What about you, Jamal? What do you think of it?
I thought, just like you, I thought it's more or less every season, the last, I would say, ever since Kroenke came. That's how I felt. That every season is
the same.
It's not exactly the same. It's the same movie packaged in a, different way. So every season starts.
Be excited.
Yeah,
that was what we were promised.
Yes. So every season is we don't get the right players, or we don't make the right signings, or we get the wrong player for the wrong position, and it's just like you said, it's a mishmash of every season. The start of the season, I had high hopes for Emery because I thought the consensus was that first season was the season that he just, set his tool out, tries to get through that season to basically, set his foundation.
Yeah.
Right? So that was the thinking. And then the new season, it quickly became apparent that the job was way too big for him. From his communication to the way that he comes across on the screen, to his tactics, to the team sheets, changing. He didn't know what how to use certain players, or the team sheet was like he didn't know his correct team. His team was just, you could not pick his team week after week.
Yeah.
And you saw, and we talked about this, we knew immediately after a couple of months that, his job is on the line. And he was sacked. I don't think anybody felt sorry for him. Did you feel sorry for him, Gabs?
Me?
Yeah.
I don't feel sorry for anybody.
Yeah, you don't feel. Yeah,
I'm the heartless one. No, there was no sympathy for.
So he got sacked. He's back to Spain. So and Freddie came, who immediately, brought back the good feeling about the club, the goodwill.
Yeah, Freddie was never going to get hammered or coated or slated for anything that he did. He could have lost 4 games on the spot, and people would have said, "We love you, Freddie."
Absolutely.
Because you've come in at a difficult time.
So he stabilized the ship, and then Mr. Mr. Arteta came, which he's as soon as he came, but from the first interview, you just knew that there's a new Don in town.
Sheriff in town.
There's a new sheriff in town.
Yeah.
Right. So he spoke well. He understands the club. I have to be completely honest. I had my reservations because he has no experience. We've seen so many young managers jump at the first big job that they get, and completely. Gary Neville comes to mind,
Yeah.
and completely fell. So it was a breath of fresh air, and immediately he let the players know that this is how he's going to play. These are the players that I included in my plan. I'm sure we'll talk about these players later. And certain players like Ozil were quickly, carted out. So we'll get to the FA Cup, and but my understanding, my feeling about this season has improved a lot since Arteta came. So
yeah.
Is that how you feel?
Yeah, how I feel. From Baku, I expected change, and there were some transfers that came through in the summer, Nicolas Pepe, that got me excited, I must admit. Yeah. And I thought that the team would do better in terms of league positioning. Yeah. Obviously, we're a million miles away from challenging from the title. Absolutely. And major honours, but I thought we'd do better. But then along came the mediocre performances, and from Newcastle to Eintracht Frankfurt, Emery's reign, it was poor. We became draw specialists. He would set up a team. Next thing you'd know, we're 2 goals down. And then what we've had to do is come back. And the draws at home weren't good enough. And I mean to Wolves, no disrespect to them because they play well. Southampton was another game. And Palace. And that's unacceptable. Yeah. And it's the manner in which we conceded cheap goals. Yeah. So for Emery, I'm sorry, but your time was up because of... You had to go. Yeah, and you were just Claudio Ranieri 2.0. Mr. Tinkerman.
He became a Tinkerman, didn't he?
You're a Tinkerman. Yeah. And...
Spanish waiter,
I gave him, his, just a lengthy period of time, but we ain't got time. Yeah. Because we've been wasting time for 10 plus years.
That's the new climate now for big clubs.
Exactly.
You have no time now,
Exactly.
There's none of that, give him 4 or 5 years. They want results now.
No.
And they want improvement, like a progress.
Yeah.
You couldn't see that under Emery.
No, I'm sorry.
He came in, he had a brief period where he had that 20-game unbeaten run, but that was just papering
over the cracks.
Because the performances were not of the level that we used to.
Well, everybody got happy, didn't they, after the Fulham game? Everybody's singing, "We've got our Arsenal back," because we slapped Fulham in the sun.
including me. Hands up.
Yeah,
But I was impressed with the performance, but
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? Let's hold on. Just
horses.
just
Whoa,
a minute.
boy.
Yeah,
Whoa.
just hold on a minute. The same with Mikel Arteta. Yeah, I'm happy with what he's done,
yeah.
but let's
But
bide
the
our
season-
time and
the
see.
season
But
started well.
for me with Emery,
Yeah.
his major flaws were his communication.
Mm-hmm.
The way he spoke, he became
Mr. Good Evening.
Yeah,
Mr.
Mr. Gadibanin, he became a joke.
Yeah,
Once you're a
that was
manager and your own
unfortunate.
fans are taking the
Yeah.
piss out of you, then
Players,
well, the players, I don't know what the players taking the piss
rumour
out of
has
him?
it.
Well, if that's
They were
the
mocking
case,
him.
if that's the
personally
case,
think
then
that was for the media. That's for the Twitter and the Instagram to make fun of. But I just think his communication to the players.
I think it was his tinkering.
Pochettino had the same issue. He wasn't speaking English for a certain
No,
amount of time.
He got
But
Spurs
he wasn't a
playing
joke.
a good brand of football.
Yeah, he had the common sense to get a
And he weren't
translator
tinkering.
for a while. He wasn't speaking English, right?
Who, Pochettino?
Yeah, for a period, he wasn't like he knew his
Yeah.
limitation.
yeah,
Right,
But it got better.
But he was getting through to players. I don't think Emery
yeah.
was getting through. That's what got him the sack.
Yeah,
I've
once you
seen
lose the players, that's
I've
it.
seen coaches with worse English. I mean, some that can't speak a word of English that actually, performed and stayed in a job. So that was,
Yeah.
the season started well.
Yeah, well,
We got a couple of wins. Newcastle, I think the interesting thing that the season began and ended the same way with Emerick.
With that man saving our
With
bacon.
that man, yeah.
but we'll talk about that later.
We'll talk about that later. We'll talk about player ratings and we'll talk about.
Yeah. So
So come on, let's go a bit into depth then about the season.
Yeah.
The season really didn't kick off until Mr. Arteta turned up
oh, hell yeah.
with his pants pulled over his trousers and his cape flowing behind him to save the day. Save the day for us.
So are we going to start there? We're just going to forget that half ever existed. Is that what's going to happen?
Well, for me, the start of the season,
Listen.
I can't remember it.
Listen, we were draw specialists and we were down in the dumps. We had a player that was, when he got substituted, threw his shirt off and, mocked the fans whilst taking an early shower. And from there,
I thought that was the end of him.
we thought that was the end of many players. So the club was going backwards. We couldn't buy a win. Freddie took over, and that's when I was going to say, with Freddie, kudos to him for trying, his best. The appointment of Arteta, I must admit, at first, I'm going to admit, I wasn't impressed. But then I warmed to the idea that, former captain, and it was the video of his last game for us where the passion was there. And then him coming from a team that was used to winning and are currently successful. And then I thought, just maybe, and this is before he even uttered any words, I said, maybe he might be that guy. He might be. When I heard his first interview, I said, you know what? I'm sold. Because it was his first interview. I don't know, a lot of people can talk a good game, but it was his first interview
You just know
that got me.
it's just that X factor. He's got the X factor. That you just
But I think fans were waiting for somebody who spoke a certain way. There was something about the way he spoke that
Exactly.
you brought into him. When he was talking about his non-negotiables. This club deserves to be back at the top, challenging for
Thank you.
top honours. Those things. We've had players at the club that were allowed to just get away with murder under Wenger, got translated, and that behaviour transferred over into Emery.
Of course.
Emery, to his credit, tried to bring Ozil and push Ozil out, but the fans, for some reason, were like, "Oh, he's our most expensive player," or most expected. He's our
He's
highest paid player. Why isn't he being played? And fast forward now many months, and you can see why he's not being played, because he doesn't bring anything to the party. And I think that was what Arteta, you could see in Arteta, even though Ozil was a teammate of his, there's no favouritisms. If you're not doing the job for me, you are not playing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And if you don't believe in the process, goodbye. And let's get it right.
I don't think he was decisive enough.
Let's get it right.
He took him out, he brought him back in, and then he took him out again. So
that was another thing.
Yeah,
that was another fault of Emery's.
Like certain top managers like Ferguson, Pep, even Wenger, at his height, is that if he doesn't like a certain player, he's gone.
Yeah, but that was the fans who pushed Emery to bring in Ozil back. He should have stood his ground.
He should not. That's why you are top class manager.
That's what you're paid for.
The
fans shouldn't influence you. Your decision should be final.
So you get paid. You at a top club, the third most successful club in the country.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, let's just throw that in. Right. Throw that in for those who don't know.
Yeah. So it's not all about
the ones down the lane.
Yeah. So
down the lane.
Down the lane and across the other side of London.
Yeah. So
the blue half.
Yep. For people that believe, the history of football hasn't started in 2003.
No, but we come from South London, don't we? North London imposters.
So, yeah. So how do you, going forward, what do you expect from Arteta?
I expect more of the same, to be fair. I expect more. Yeah. Once he starts getting his own players in. Yeah. I know we're going on a bit of a side tangent here to the season because we haven't finished with the season review.
Yep.
But I'm expecting more of the same. I'm expecting step-by-step progress. I'm expecting evolution.
All right.
And I'm expecting the club to evolve, to take significant steps to move back to where we should be.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
there's nothing that he's done this season. Yeah, it's his debut season.
Yeah.
And it could all go pear-shaped, but I don't believe it. I don't believe it will go pear-shaped. There's nothing that Arteta's done or said to make me think, this guy's full of it and he's just bluffing his way.
Mm-hmm.
He seems to be a man with a plan, and he seems to be implementing it.
Yeah.
And he seems to be holding the board, or trying to hold the board to
accountability.
I'm sure he took the job and he made his wishes known. Yeah, I'll take the job at Arsenal, but I need you to back me when I ask you to back me.
Yeah.
And the club probably said to him, well, we've got a tight budget. Can you bring youngsters through? He's bringing youngsters through. Now I need some top draw players to supplement them and take the club forward. So I think that's what we will see.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And that's what we need to see.
And also, he doesn't seem to be shy of not blatantly calling out the board, but he puts it out there for the fans to see. Unlike Wenger, who used to speak in code language.
Yeah.
And used to send up smoke signals that nobody could understand.
So he's not controversial, not controversial, confrontational, but he knows what to say to communicate.
Yeah, he knows how to communicate with the fans,
right?
The fans. Yeah, what did he say a few weeks ago? We need, I do believe the board are going to back me.
Yeah.
So if they don't back him, there's only one direction that the fans are going to be looking.
Exactly.
And it's not Arteta.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Precisely.
Absolutely.
So what do you think of the when Arteta did come in? What did you notice about the way that he transformed the players and the playing style, considering what had just transpired before him and the state of the team and the state of the club as a mass, the fans and the team, or almost like two separate entities?
Well, we knew from the style of play, the mentality in their play. And I think Arteta, one of his goals was to say, you know what? We, as a team, need to get the fans, that 12th man, we need to get them on side. And the only way we're going to do that, our action has to speak louder than our words. When I, went to, some games and I saw that, I was watching certain individuals that I would be scrutinizing and being, very annoyed. Emery, the Emery times. And I would see the shift like Xhaka. I'd be like watching him and I'd be like, okay, my eyes on you. And what Arteta would be saying from the dugout and where, the positional sense of the players, I noticed that. And what Arteta would be saying to certain players and where they would be to cover their player. Man, I got to say, he's transformed their mentality. Because that's what I think. Sorry, before you speak, Jamal.
Sure.
I think we had that weak mentality. And I think...
it's a mentality shift.
I think teams knew that, whether they played us home or away. They knew we were weak.
Well, they called us out blatantly. How many teams called us out?
Mr. Deeney?
Yeah, Mr. Championship.
Yeah.
Sorry, Troy.
But they called us out blatantly. And it was a strange shift from the team to go back even further into the history. With Wenger, the team that Wenger built, or the teams that Wenger built, were never soft. So I don't know where he decided that these soft teams that were gonna ever win the Premier League. Yeah, we came close, but there was always something just
missing,
lacking.
Yeah.
And it came down to that. Well, for me, watching the team, it just came to that desire to just put that foot in when somebody's taking liberties with one of our players. Vieira would put a foot in, or Bergkamp would put a foot in. Henry would put his foot in.
Yeah, they can
Our
handle
players
themselves.
just became more interested in playing pretty football, rather than doing the dirty side of the game. And then over time, it just became, we're just a pretty team. We're going to pass you to death. And other teams, look, if we get stuck in, this team they're not going to retaliate. And for me, that's what Arsenal has always been known for. If you want to play football with us,
we can play
football.
Fine.
If you want to have a punch up with us, we will have a punch up with you. You decide on the day
what you want to do.
What you want to do.
Yeah.
And we can do this.
Yeah, and we moved so far away from that in the latter years under Wenger that, teams would relish coming to the Emirates.
Tiki-taka years,
Yeah, they'd relish. We're going to the Emirates. That's a guaranteed 3 points for us. Especially if we're going away.
Stoke, my goodness. Everyone was rubbing their hands with glee. Fans, manager, players, right. Arsenal's in town, boys. Let's get ready. It was, I was nervous. West Brom, hell, oh my goodness.
Yeah, those away games were never easy. Go back in the day when, we had to go to Leicester at Filbert Street.
Yeah.
That was never an easy game, but the boys knew we're in for a battle. We've got to battle.
Exactly.
To win, we've got to battle.
Perez, Ljungberg, Lauren, Campbell.
Stadium. That was
Bolton.
People used to think Bolton used to have
Makes
us up. Bolton never used to. It used to be a tussle.
Yeah.
A proper tussle.
Right, ding dong.
Yeah.
We would just about come out on top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then,
sorry to cut you. You talked about the mentality shift, but we forgot something more obvious than that, was that there was, for the first time at Arsenal, there's more emphasis on stop conceding goals.
hell yeah.
Right? Stop conceding silly goals. Yes, we made mistakes. Yes, Luis had his interesting matches at the Etihad and at Anfield. But overall, defensively, we've improved. Offensively, it took some time, but when he came in, there was an emphasis on stop conceding goals. So that's.
I'm going to touch on that.
Yeah.
When I buried my head in the sand, was at Watford away. We were 2-0 up, mind you, and there was 31 shots from a team at that time who was in the bottom half of the table. 31 shots. And that is just ridiculous. So now we've reduced that considerably.
Is that the one Mr. Championship scored from the pen spot? Is that?
He may have.
Yeah.
He may have. I know there was a penalty conceded, Louise.
Yeah.
But yes, 31 shots. My goodness.
But that was also down to, for me, we used to have long conversations about the lack of protection in the middle of the park.
Hell yeah.
Teams would just roll through us like anything, at will.
Mm-hmm.
And we all know throughout the annals of football, your protective screen in front of your defence has to be as tight as anything. It has to be as tight as a drum.
Yep.
But Arsenal's was like a sieve.
Yeah.
It was like a drain. Players.
A sieve. At least there's a little bit of protection.
Teams would just, and there was no protection, and shots and teams would just come through us and take shots at will.
Absolutely.
Just open fire, Scotty.
Yeah. Shields are down, Scotty. Fire!
That's what it was like.
Yeah.
And as soon as Arteta's come in, that's the first thing that he's addressed.
Absolutely.
We all know Xhaka has been a bugbear of mine.
For
my
days.
Many,
and mine as well.
For both of us, or for all three of us.
Well,
you kind of like him, Jack. You've kind of tried to
fanboy.
You've tried to convert me to be a fan of his, and it's not happened. But Arteta came in.
We've lost our patience with him.
But Arteta came in and noticed, look, you can't get up and down the pitch. Many a game, Xhaka would storm, do a barnstorming run up front. The move would break down, and then you'd be watching, and you'd be, where's Xhaka?
Running like a $6 million man.
He's back there, chasing back in slow motion.
I think
Steve Austin style.
That wasn't even his main problem, just running around. It was that even when he's in position, it's just his tackling is so poor that, teams will just cut through him, right? Because that actually happened in the FA Cup final.
But what Arteta did is Arteta said, stop running forward.
Yeah.
As much.
Yeah, stop running forward as much, because you can't get back. What you do is when somebody goes forward from left back, you fill in at left back.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I started looking at Xhaka in a different light.
Yeah.
And then of late, Xhaka's been, it's like...
He's been intercepting.
He's been intercepting. And for me, that's where, top draw players, you can, great tacklers, but, Maldini never used to make tackles. Maldini was not that he never... His game was more based on reading the games and intercepting.
We got a better example that's closer to us, Gilberto.
Yeah.
Whenever you see, you never used to see him on the ground, right? So
it was a rarity.
Yeah. So Edu was exactly the same.
If you can intercept, then you save yourself a lot more. And that for me has been the main transformation. Has been Xhaka and Mustafi have been the main transformations for me.
I think Mustafi.
I think I was reading yesterday that Ceballos is our leading tackler.
Yeah. He had some great stats.
Yeah.
He had some great stats, I must admit. But even he fell off.
Whatever he was eating during the lockdown, it's...
he hit a kind of a plateau during the middle of the season.
Yeah.
I did say I liked him at the start, and then I went right off him. Halfway through the season, I was like, go back to Madrid.
Yeah, he was like a spinning top. He was just like a Beyblade, spinning round like, what are you doing? Just make the pass.
He turned out of traffic, back into traffic.
Yeah.
Oh, it's me again.
But then Arteta's just probably told him, listen, simplify your game, and he's just been phenomenal.
I was concerned for him after in the Anfield game. I think it was the third game that we played. Where he just could not handle people pressing him, so he would find himself in a corner flag, and he would get he will make weird passes straight into Mane.
But The Premiership is
It's ruthless.
it's a brutal animal to
Yeah.
step into
So-
when you're
So what
new.
he handled-
It's
You know, many-
unforgiving.
Yeah,
What I've
many a
noticed
player
about him-
has been chewed up and spat out.
Yeah.
What I've noticed about him, he's a lot stronger physically. You know, he's a lot more confident.
What it makes you do, what the Premiership makes you
Yeah.
do, is it makes you make your decisions a lot faster.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sharper.
You know, you've got no time on the ball.
Yeah.
You know, no matter who you're
siesta around
playing.
here.
Yeah, you know, no matter who you're playing, you've got, you know, especially once you venture into their half.
Mhm.
Yeah.
In your own half, you may have a bit of time to look up and pick out a pass, but as soon as you step over that halfway line, people are on you, and you've got to make your decisions
Very
rapid,
quick.
and you've got to be accurate. And that's
Yeah.
another thing that we were lacking, was the passing accuracy was shocking,
Was shocking.
especially through the lines from defence into midfield,
Yeah.
which then translated into a lack of opportunities for the forwards because there was no balls coming forward.
And if I could say, with Emery, we had no identity.
Mm.
Can you see with Arteta the identity?
Absolutely.
That's the difference. I believe with Emery, I was like confused.
Well, what
chin
would you say?
stroking
What would you say our identity is then?
of for
With
Arteta.
yeah.
Well, we're not conceding as much. I would say we would.
We're a lot more cynical.
Yes.
We're a
Yeah.
lot more cynical. See the way Shaka got what's his name? Who was that? Who was that guy? I forgot his name.
He got a red card.
Kovacic, yeah.
Yeah.
See, that's what Chelsea used to do to us. That's what.
So everybody used to do to
Gabriel-
us.
Yeah, Costa versus Gabriel. Remember?
Yeah.
So many. You know.
Cynical.
I remember Alonso elbowing Bellerin in the face. You know, elbowing the ball and the guy in the net.
Listen,
Um,
we're here to win a game, innit?
and
So
everyone was
by
like,
any means necessary.
it's part of the game. Take it. So it's part of the game now. Take it, Chelsea. It's yeah. So well, sorry to cut you. Complete your bit about the identity.
No, I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
I would say that with Arteta, we are, there's more pressing in our game. I think.
Can I enter?
Yeah, no, go.
I think with Emery he also had the pressing, but the difference is
Wasn't
variation.
consistent.
No, it's like we know right now when to press and when to retreat.
Mhm.
Right. This is why Pep Guardiola got confused. Is that and Klopp, because we were pressing in phases and then back in position, right? So
You said that now or when Emery?
with Arteta.
Okay.
With Emery, it was pressing, but there's no direction. Like that, there's no method to the madness.
Mhm.
So there is no.
And there's a pride in the
concrete.
defense. There's a pride in
Yeah,
defending your goal
Yeah.
area. There seems, especially that backs to the wall performance against Man City. That's
Yeah.
And Liverpool.
and Liverpool. There seems to be a lot more pride taken in
absolutely.
defending.
Yeah,
There
you see the
under Wenger, there was a lot more pride in your attacking.
Yeah.
Defending came second. Now
Yeah.
there seems to be a balance between you have to do both well. You can't have one without the other. You can't just be a great attacking
Yeah.
team and conceding loads of goals.
So you see the gradual improvement with the
Yeah.
back four, back three, as the season went on with Arteta.
Yeah.
Where Emery, you just see the mistakes. There's no reaction. There's no changes. Luis is still playing in a back four. So yeah, it's night and day, honestly. So should we do the player ratings?
We still got time.
All right. Yeah.
So
yeah,
then,
so
with Arteta now,
Mhm.
is he the man from the season? We're still talking about the season.
yes,
We haven't even got to the FA Cup yet, Jamal.
We haven't even talked to.
or the Europa Cup.
So, our league standing, where we finished,
Yeah.
do you think we will better that?
100%, 100%. because if you look at the trajectory of the season when he came in, when Arteta came in, I saw a stat. I think I sent it to you. That Arteta has took more points than Klopp. He took more points than Pep in his first 17, 18 games. So, 100%. I think had Arteta had a preseason and started the season, I think we would have an excellent chance at finishing top 4.
I think Gabe's through our discussion.
Because the reason why we're not in top 4 is our back line. You know, we're just hemorrhaging, and up front as well, our strikers, apart from Mr. 14, apart from Emerick, we haven't been scoring. But I think give Arteta a full season, I think you would see what he can do. I think we would have an excellent chance at top 4.
Okay, so still continuing on with the season's review.
Yeah.
What is Arteta's flaws?
Oh, that's a tough one. Maybe possibly his hair is not as perfect as it once was.
Listen, that's perfect.
It was a lot better.
6 years ago to now, man, still Lego here.
Yeah, that's a tough question.
What are Arteta's flaws?
Yeah.
I think one flaw could be is offensively he couldn't squeeze more shots out of the team up front and more goals. I think that is the one criticism, is that his focus on the back line and the midfield kind of took the attention away from the front three, where
But that's not his flaw.
honestly,
That's a flaw of the team.
Yes, but we don't get enough shots off. That's a fact that should come from him. He should be saying that, why you pass and shoot? Right? You know, we mid-table when it comes to taking shots at goal. That could be something to improve next year.
Yeah, but you need better players to do that.
Absolutely, absolutely.
It's not like the chances haven't been there for
but we've
the
seen
players to take the shots.
there are far more inferior squads with, that
But look,
need
the
more
ball,
shots.
Xhaka gets in front of goal plenty of times. He doesn't shoot.
He doesn't shoot.
That's not.
Tell him to
That's
shoot.
not down to Arteta. I'm sure that's not down to Arteta telling him to not to shoot.
Yeah. But don't you think he should instruct him to actually shoot?
Possibly.
Yeah. Yeah. So what's his weakness for you?
I don't know. I'll have to think about that. You
It's a
came
tough
with the
question.
question, Lee. So
Yeah, it's a tough
what's
question.
your
Well,
That's a curveball.
What's been brought into question is just at times the timing of his substitutions. Now, I like the guy.
Do you have example?
I like the guy. So, it's going to be hard to find faults. It was just a question I put out there because we've got so many superlatives for a man that's been in charge for, 7 to 8 months, and came in, my goodness, at a time when the club was on its knees. But that's the only thing I could say at this moment in time. He's a man still learning on a job. Remember, he's Pep's cone man, as people say. But yeah, he's still learning on the job. And I think we would have to really evaluate him when he's got a whole season under his belt.
Yeah, I can't. I personally, I can't fault him.
Absolutely.
Excuse me, for what he's done this season so far. I can't think of any flaws that have stood out to me.
Yeah.
everything from his communication. I was thinking earlier, you know, what I do and what I think a lot of fans have found very heartening is his active involvement in the match from the sidelines, from where we were used to Wenger just sitting down with his pipe, struggling with his zip, struggling with all sorts of opening his water bottle on the sidelines, to having a manager who's actually up and instructing players and encouraging players during the match. I find it refreshing.
I think Emery should get a shout for that as well. I think he was more animated when he came in.
Yeah, true. We'll give him that. But
it was more comical rather than...
What was baffling was when we had a defensive situation, say a corner, and then he'll get his number 2 to orchestrate and organise, and that was a bit confusing.
Defensive coach, right?
Defensive coach,
defensive coordinator. Just get a whole new team come on the pitch for the defending.
Yeah,
like they're doing.
Guys, come off. Yeah,
yeah,
come off. All right, defense, come on.
It was ludicrous.
It was ludicrous, man.
But Arteta, you know, he's conversing with different players in their language, which again is phenomenal.
Yeah.
There's no issues with getting your point of view across to a player because you can tell him straight in his own language.
Yeah.
So that for me is just a phenomenal asset. He's been a breath of fresh air that's been a long time coming.
Yeah. So let's not get
FA Cup. We haven't.
This is what I'm getting on to.
Yes.
I'm just concluding. So what I was going to conclude with is we're not getting carried away because we are aware that we finished 8th. So we're not getting carried away. Oh, the Messiah's come. We finished 8th. But we did finish on a high. And this is when I was going to introduce that cup, that piece of silverware that we won. I must admit, it's taken me a whole week to come back down to earth, for my feet to touch the ground.
Yes.
That is... What cup is it?
I think how many...
The FA Challenge Cup.
I do believe so.
The FA Challenge, how many
Is
times?
it the FA Challenge? Is that the official title for it?
I don't know, but I know
I think you watched...
it's
how
a
many times,
prestigious
Gab?
trophy.
How many times you watched the final?
How many times have I watched that game? I've watched it about
14 times?
4 times.
Yeah,
Okay.
4
me
or
too.
5 times.
Me too.
Excellent.
Stressful match to watch. Very stressful match to watch.
Yeah.
The pressure was immense.
Yeah. I've never seen so many confident Chelsea fans. They thought they're just going to...
Baku again.
It's Baku again. We smashed them before. It was that kind of mentality. But I was quietly confident. I don't know why, but
You
the
called it.
weeks...
I said as well.
You
yeah.
called it.
The weeks...
I'll hold my hand up.
The weeks prior to the final, I was quietly confident because I can see the improvements in the team game by game, and which culminated in that, that Liverpool game. That's when I saw, I said, "Hey, something's happening here," right?
Yeah, Jamal, you did call a lot of games.
You
A lot
did.
of games where I was a doubting Thomas.
Of course.
Yeah.
Me too.
And
Yeah.
Jamal
Me
was
too,
like,
man.
no, we're going to win.
Yeah.
No, we're going to win. I was like, really?
And
No,
you,
we're going to
you was
win.
predicting, but you predicted the scores.
And you even called it 2-1. I had to take a screenshot and send it to Lee. That Jamal called it 2-1.
2-1. I saw
Yeah,
it
man.
2-1. But
So if you want your lottery numbers, there's the man.
I should have put some money down. But yeah. So
But you know what happens when you put money down? It all goes pear-shaped. doesn't it?
Exactly.
So how do you saw that final from the go?
Having watching it the first time, very stressful, but watching it the second and third time, like everybody said, Chelsea came out pretty quick. We took our time getting into the game, but after that, once we found our footing and got our rhythm, I think they had injuries, but
Hey ho.
injuries happen. Nobody cries for us when we have injuries going into big games or during games. So shit happens. And I thought ultimately we deserved to win it.
Absolutely. And we had the first chance, you know, but they started fast. I agree with you. But what impressed me was we had problems with Pulisic and Mount and Giroud just operating, like finding, you know, holes in us.
I like Pulisic. I like Mount.
Very good players.
I like to see what becomes of them.
Yeah.
I think Pulisic is going to be a player, man.
Pulisic is a terrific player. But
He surprised me how old he is.
Arteta reacted, right?
Of course, yeah.
You know, plug those gaps. You know, he told Xhaka and Ceballos to, you know, don't leave those holes, right? And targeted who? Azpilicueta, because he saw that he had a major issue with pace. And how old is he now? He's not a spring chicken. And we exposed their right hand side. So, I think what impressed me again is his reading of the game. Arteta is an elite reader of the game, right? We haven't had that with Emery. You know, we haven't had that in the latter years of Wenger, where he wasn't reacting, he was just repeating the same old.
Wenger's answer to a problem was more forwards.
75 minutes.
Yeah. Who would have thought? I know you're not a big fan of Niles, but, you know, he used him correctly.
I couldn't believe how he's put him on the left and how efficient he was on the left-hand side.
Yeah.
And nullified the threat.
Yeah.
And how quick he was.
So that just shows that
he's deceptively quick. No maintenance allows.
The thing is what impressed me was like his distribution is better.
But he's always had that in his
really,
game.
I don't know.
Distribution.
Who Niles?
Maitland-Niles has had distribution and he's deceptively quick.
He was. I remember that first game against Newcastle. I think he set up Aubameyang for a terrific pass.
Yeah, because he intercepted.
But there was a middle few months where he was just, you know,
that was Emery time.
His delivery was garbage.
Yeah, for me, Ainsley's passing is sloppy at the best of times. But that's a lot of players at Arsenal whose passing is haphazard. You know, that's when you look at the top teams, you look at Liverpool and Manchester City, their passing is not haphazard.
Of course.
Their passing is accurate and to the feet. Arsenal's passing, you watch it.
It could go wayward.
We just give the ball away cheaply at times for absolutely no reason.
Yeah.
And it's like, how are you playing at Arsenal Football Club and you're just giving away a ball just like that?
Bread and butter passes.
That was the key thing about the final. So both teams did not take care of the ball. You know, it was like a classic Premier League, almost 90s match where have the ball, take the ball, have the ball. Like there was no flow in the game. But I agree with you. I think, you know, the way that certain players, Tierney at the back, how about that? Right? So he put him in a back three. He's just,
yeah, well,
quality.
My view, my take on it is what I noticed, and to go back to your question earlier on in the show, is that once we went a goal down, our heads never dropped. Yeah. And that was key for me. Yeah. Our heads did not drop.
I was quietly confident.
And a lot of people said, oh, you know, Chelsea were all over us. It took us 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I didn't see that. I did not see that. I saw us still trying to go at them. You know, like if the pressure's incessant, like Man City and Liverpool, incessant wave and wave of attack. I didn't see that.
No.
And from, let's say, the 5th minute, when we conceded, after we conceded a goal, we went at them.
Yeah.
We went at them. Pepe, from kickoff, came with a shot instantly. And then you just saw us just grow into the game. And in the past, we would be 2-0 down, 3-0 down. No, seriously.
Yeah. We conceded second one.
We would have conceded, but it was their mentality, for me, that really won us that game. their mentality was brilliant. It was excellent in that game. And then Arteta made slight adjustments, just slight tweaks. And that, for me, game done.
Yeah.
So impressed. So impressed.
Hector Bellerin, got
Mentality.
got his pace back.
It was mentality. We're a goal down, so what? It's 0-0. Sunday league talk.
Yeah.
0-0, lads.
0-0.
Yeah, no.
Does that talk ever work?
No, it
In
doesn't.
the back of your head, you still know we're 3-0 down.
It's 0-0.
Exactly. We're 4-0 down, but it's 0-0. 0-0, lads.
Yeah.
Keep going.
From the school of get stuck in.
But I thought it was, and it was such an important match for both managers to win their first trophy. For years and years, I've been saying, especially when Arsene Wenger developed his next squad, and we got to the Carling Cup final
Against Chelsea.
Chelsea, and that was such a vital game for us to win, to cement a trophy for those players and say you're good enough to win trophies,
especially the young players.
Yeah, the young players, and it didn't work out. It went Chelsea's way, and Chelsea just continued hoovering up trophies.
Yeah,
this for me is always, especially for a new manager. You look at any new manager that comes into a club, they want to win their trophy as soon as possible, even if it is, your fourth-rate trophy. Or your fourth tier trophy, not fourth rate, your fourth tier trophy in terms of the Carling Cup. If you get to that final, win it. Don't put out a young squad. Put out your strongest squad and win that trophy, and then that gives you a building block for something else.
Yeah.
But for me, the nervousness came from us wanting Arteta to get that trophy.
Absolutely, because
I was a bag of nerves
because
in the bag, and then nobody can say anything to you again.
Again,
take
note those down the lane.
Oh, not even the Lily Whites.
Yeah.
Any team who they're out there saying, "Oh, will Arsenal win anything other than the FA Cup?" Most teams would
and
love
we're celebrating that we won the Champions League.
Yeah, they'd love to get their hands on the FA Cup.
Exactly.
So let's have it right. It's not a 2-bob cup like some people are trying to make it. It's only a 2-bob cup because Arsenal have won it.
Exactly.
If somebody else had won it, they'd be jumping up and down like we were.
Jose Mourinho, Pep Guardiola, they play their best team for every cup, including the Carling Cup.
Exactly, and that was a fatal flaw in Wenger's latter years when he was getting to finals. He
disrespected.
He didn't take them as seriously.
Yeah.
He had his hierarchy of trophies, and the FA Cup and the Carling Cup were.
Yeah, he saw those cups to develop his young players, which was
And how did that work out? With those developments,
it worked out with Jose Mourinho trophies,
yeah.
So yeah, it's.
I'm chuffed. Arteta's got his trophy in the bag. He's he looked well chuffed, and when he walked into the changing room and he was banging it, dang, 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 and he was like, "Whoa," and all the players were waiting for him and they were jumping around.
Goosebumps.
I was like, that's a man whose players have 100% bought into what he's sold.
Of course.
Yeah, the whole talk before the game was when Frank Lampard, is this the game where Frank Lampard gets his trophy rather than, there's another guy who came after him.
Yeah, but it's that usual disrespectful sports media talk.
Yeah.
There was no favourites in that final. There's no favourites in any final. History has shown us that. It's every final for me is a 50-50.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because you could be the best team in the world. You might not play on the day.
Yeah. Wigan, Man City, Liverpool, Wimbledon.
Exactly. So
Coventry, Tottenham.
I just take everything as a 50-50, especially when it's a final. Anything can happen. Arsenal with Luton.
Yeah.
Way back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right, let's move on to the player ratings. Player manager ratings.
Music, please. Okay, segment time.
Right, go on then, Lee. Right, you're gonna do it, Jamal?
Lee with let's start with the keepers.
Okay. All right, now we're going to start with the goalkeepers. So, first one, we're going to start with Mr. Leno. All right, so for me, I'm going to give Mr. Leno 9.5 for the season. He's been our saviour. I think he's been our second best player. Yes, there's been one or two blunders, but he's saved us more times than he's cost us. So Bernd Leno for me is getting 9.5. Jamal?
I think, I think I agree with you. I'll give him a 9. I think without Leno, we would probably finish bottom half. That's how important he is.
Hell yeah.
He's that important, because he's for me, he's arguably the best goalkeeper in the league.
To the mic.
Yep. So I would give him a 9. Because I think he's outstanding. We're very lucky to have the two best goalkeepers as a pair in the league. So I'll give him a 9. How about you, Gabs?
Me, I will give Bernd Leno a 9. I'll give Bernd Leno a 9. Again, he's been outstanding for us. Great shot stopper. Keeping it, he's been a busy goalkeeper.
Yes.
He's been a busy boy in goal before Arteta came.
Yeah.
Shots were being rained on him. We'd have been hammered in some of those games if it wasn't for him. But when Arteta came, it's just popped into my head, and I was thinking, man, I remember this guy making save after save after save after save.
Yeah.
But then Arteta came and tightened up the back line, and he's had a bit more of a relaxing time in goal. Yeah,
absolutely.
He's had a bit more of a smoke on, but yeah, for me, he's been a phenomenal buy.
Yeah.
We know Bayern Munich and all these guys will be keeping tabs on him. So we need to keep him happy and start winning trophies with this guy.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because if we don't, we know people are going to come up and start trying to strong arm us like they usually do. So yeah, me, I give Bernd 9.
9.
Absolutely.
Oh, yes.
Absolutely.
Okay, so on to
The man of the hour.
the man of the hour, Mr. Velcro Hands himself.
Yes.
Shot stopper.
Extraordinaire.
Commander. Brilliant with his feet.
Commander of the Red Army.
Mr. Distribution.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Martinez. My goodness. The superlatives. I close my eyes when I say this. My goodness. This man. I'm so happy for him. And to, learn and discover, his background and, being at the club for 10 years.
10
and
years, yeah.
before that, the poverty, the environment he was living in. Man, this guy, I'm giving him a 10. I'm giving this guy a 10. And he was a late introduction. When people, when Leno got injured and people were fearing the worst, this man, listen, 10 for me, straight.
Excellent.
Over to you.
I'll give him a 9, because it's very rare to see not just a keeper, a player who's constantly being 10 years of being loaned out. It's a long time. And still at the club, still working hard, still grafting.
Quietly
waiting for his shot.
No complaining.
No groaning.
Yeah. He played in all kinds of competitions, cup games, again being loaned out, brought back, and grabbing his chance with both hands.
Mm-hmm.
And, his shot stopping, his distribution, it's world-class performances. You just can't argue against that.
Nope.
So I see why you gave him a 10.
He brought the cup home.
Yes. The only reason why I gave him a 9 is that Leno's contribution to the season was that good.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's been outstanding, you know, and for the way you see it, his emotions come out after the final. That was just, you know, that was so good to see.
So you gave him what, a 9?
9, a solid 9.
Yeah, I give Martinez a 9.5. I give him a half a mark more than Leno, just simply because he stepped in at a crucial point of the season where it could have gone horribly wrong if he was of Almunia levels or Fabianski levels. It could have gone tragically and terribly wrong, and we'd be having a very different conversation.
Absolutely.
So for me, just looking at the way he would just come in and the saves he would make, saves and the ball would just stop dead. You know, you'd be worried about, a hard shot's coming. Is he going to parry it? Is it going to drop to the incoming striker? And the ball would just be dropped dead in its tracks. And that was that. And then after a while, you just got used to it. It was like, okay, there's a shot coming in. I know my man's got this.
And he's commanding.
And then the confidence translates into your defensive line.
Yeah.
And then they become confident because they're not now having to worry about what's going on behind them.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then his him winning the FA Cup after, like you say, 10 years at the club was, as we all saw, was very emotional for him. And I truly hope the club can convince him to stay. For me, he keeps the number 1 jersey going into next season, and it's up to Leno to take it off of him.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's how it should work. And I think that's what Mikel Arteta will do.
Yeah, I think so too.
And then that will generate fair competition. There's no, well, Leno's back, go and take a seat now.
Yeah.
I think the only fair way to do it is you've played so well, you keep it. Bernd, if you want this jersey, he's going to throw it away. And then when you get back in, you have to keep it. And then that way there's no complaints.
Yeah.
You know, we have to keep 2 top draw keepers at the club.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be an injury at some point.
Simple. Again. Yeah. It's true.
So 9.5 for me.
9.5, excellent.
Now we move on to the defenders.
Yes.
And the first name up is Hector Bellerin. For me, I'm sorry, but I thought that Hector Bellerin's season has been poor. Yeah, you could talk about the FA Cup and how, you know, good he was there, but I'm going over the course of the season.
Over the course of the season, yeah.
And I think Hector Bellerin was poor. He offered nothing going forward. Couldn't cross his fingers. He offered nothing going back. His pace. He looked like the $6 million man. Steve Austin.
For all you youngsters out there, the $6 million man was...
Just YouTube it.
Just YouTube him. Some guy used to run in slow motion.
Dum, 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 dum. Yeah. Him. Steve Austin.
Yeah.
Lee Majors played him. Look it up. Anyway, he was running like the $6 million man when it came to running back and trying to defend. Everyone would steal a march in him. So for me, Hector Bellerin gets a 6, and I'm being generous. Over to you, Jamal.
Yeah, I'll give him a 6 as well, because it's just he used to be the first man on the sheet, right? That right back was him. There was no competition.
One of them.
Yeah. So ever since the injury, the pace is gone. He's shown signs of coming back in the last few games, where his performances, he's creeping back up to that level, but still he relies, a lot of his game is about that pace. That gets him out of trouble.
He had a bad injury.
And if you
as
haven't
well.
got pace, then...
Yeah.
I will give him that. He had a bad injury.
So I still have faith in him. The last few games, he's shown, especially in that final, he's shown a bit of, energy and passion, and that verve that he used to have.
Why is that?
Because there's a final up for grabs.
His place is under threat. You mean?
He's under threat, but also we have to give credit to the manager
Mm-hmm.
for improving his game. So yeah, I think 6 is just about fair because overall, he had problems, he had setbacks. He came from an injury, he had a setback. So we have to include that also. But yeah, I'm objectively over the season. Yeah, I think about 5.5, 6. Yeah.
Well, here comes Mr. Nasty.
Dum dum dum.
Here he comes.
Cloak.
Ah,
The dagger is out.
Doctor Evil.
Yeah, here I come.
Over to you, Gabes.
Yeah, I'm not impressed with Bellerin's season at all. I'm going to give Bellerin a 5.5.
That's generous. That's good.
Yeah, I was going to say 5 being average, but he did win us the FA Cup, so he gets half a mark extra for that.
And he had a good game.
Yeah, and he had a good game. If it wasn't for his barnstorming run,
Yeah.
we wouldn't have got that.
And the goal at Chelsea.
Yeah, so that was worth half a point for me. So I'll give him 5.5. I think he's, for me, with players who rely on pace too much, there always comes a time where you may get an injury and your pace doesn't come back.
Yeah,
and that's when you get exposed. So I hope that he does regain his pace while he's at the club. I hope he does, get back to the levels he was at before he suffered that injury, because he was flying before he got that injury.
Yeah,
and he hasn't come back anywhere near that level of performance.
Absolutely. Yep.
And that's why I'm giving him. If he was at that level, it'd be a lot higher. But he hasn't come back anywhere near that, and it's been quite disappointing to see. And I can understand why the club went out and got Cedric. They needed the big competition, which I think, like you guys said, was the main reason why he bucked up his ideas. All of a sudden, there's somebody else who's, looking at taking his position, and he's got to buck up his ideas. So 5.5 for me.
Yeah, that's generous.
Oh,
I wasn't that dastardly. After all. Then
I thought you was gonna do a Lord Vader.
I was expecting a few grenades launched somewhere.
Lord Vader, I beg of you.
Maybe he says, well, there'll be a few of them coming later.
I think you forgot your dagger today.
Oh.
Yeah.
Right, so the next defender is this defender. My goodness gracious me. What an introduction. What a transfer. This guy coming from, a boyhood club, leaving Scotland to come to the Arsenal. Kieran Tierney. My goodness, Mr. Consistency. My goodness. So many superlatives. I'm going to keep this nice, short and brief. Me, Kieran Tierney, you get a 9.5. Hands down. You've just been so consistent. Your game management, your awareness. You've just been a top performer in a poor side. And, he struggled, just keep it brief. He struggled with an injury that kept him out. And he's just hit the ground running, man. So 9.5. Tip my hat off to you, Kieran. Been brilliant.
Excellent. Yeah, I'll give him an 8. I think he had a really horrendous season with injuries. Never got going the first half of the season. But especially since June, I think he's been top class. He's been used in every role that he's been used in 3 different roles.
Mm-hmm. And he's
in
performed.
Every role, there's that consistency that you talk about.
Yeah,
So
he's
there's
performed.
no job. There's none of that excuses where he's not a left, he's not a wing back, he's not a. Where he's been used and how Arteta used him, he's producing the goods. And that's really encouraging. But also is the way he talks, the interviews, the way he carries himself, his positive nature.
And the carrier bag.
Yeah, so
Tesco's.
I'll give him, and that's Tesco. Yep, there's no Gucci bags here. Yeah, I'll give him an 8. A solid 8. You know.
Yeah, I give Tierney a 9.5. I like this guy from the very first minute he arrived at the club. I said to Lee very early on, there was a game, I can't remember which one it is now off the top of my head,
Notts Forest, I think.
where I can't remember, Bukayo Saka got tackled and he was on his own. And the first person on the scene for a rumble was Kieran Tierney. And that is my kind of player. And that's what's been missing from Arsenal for a long time.
Back each other up.
Backing each other up. Players would get fouled and they'd be left hanging on their own to deal with 3 or 4 opposition players haranguing them and pointing fingers and pushing. Yeah. It's like that was never the Arsenal way. The Arsenal way is if you get tackled or fouled, your boys pile in.
Yeah.
And Tierney was there to back up Bukayo Saka. And the guy had just arrived at the club.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a captain. I said to you, I remember saying that man is
Yes,
going to
I
be
remember.
our captain.
That's a future captain.
That is our future captain, and I'll say it right here now.
Yeah.
He will probably be our captain when we lift the Premier League trophy, because that man has all the attributes. Even the way he was having a go at Kolasinac at times.
I remember.
Which was quite laughable.
Anyone.
Yeah, he's afraid to have a go at, well, he's not afraid to have a go at people that if you're not doing your jobs. Kolasinac was doing something, I don't know what he was doing, and all I remember was Kieran Tierney was having a go at him. Kolasinac probably couldn't understand what the hell he was saying, but he knew it was aggressive.
Of course.
You know?
Of
he
course.
knew there was a lot of swear words in there, and he was being told off.
Fix up.
Yeah, fix up, look sharp. You're wearing the Arsenal shirt.
Yes.
And yeah, for me, Kieran Tierney gets a 9.5 because he's had an outstanding season in what's been a season of injuries and heartaches and stop and start. And at the end of it, he's come away with the FA Cup.
Yeah.
So yeah, well done to you, Kieran Tierney.
Well done, sir.
For you.
Well done. Next defender is Socrates. For me, I don't question his heart and his mentality, but sometimes his ability and sometimes his errors were costly, and hence why Arteta didn't feature him in as many games. You know, when we came back, we came back from the restart.
Yeah.
And he was surplus to requirements. What I would give Socrates, I do like him. However, I do think it's time to go. I will give him a generous 7. 7.
That's real generous.
7. I'll give him.
I don't know what he brings to the table. He's clumsy, he's slow, he's not great on the ball. He looks imposing, he's physical, he's big, but he's a mouse. He's not really, you know, if I was Harry Kane or Aguero, I'm not going to fear that man.
But they haven't been that successful against him.
He hasn't, since the project restart, he hasn't featured
But
at all.
before that, though.
So Arteta, he saw that. Before that, he was average. Even before that, can you think of any match where you say, oh,
But
Socrates
you would want
was the man of
him,
them?
sorry to cut you, but
Yeah.
you'd want him in place of Mustafi, Holding, to partner alongside David Luiz.
I have to agree with Arteta because he just moved him out of the team. Right? I think since has he actually played a game since the
A bit part in the FA
restart?
Cup.
I can't remember. Yeah.
Come on to waste time.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's for the So I'll give him a very a 4.
You're stuttering.
A 4. Yeah, a 4.
Lord
Well,
Vader, I beg of you.
I thought about just for being I don't know what am I going to give the extra point? I thought about a 5.
That is harsh.
That's coming from me, Mr.
Yeah,
Harsh.
yeah, Mr. Dark Vader is calling me harsh, you know.
Wow.
Yeah,
You've cut off his ear supply. You've killed him.
I'll be if he's in the club by next season, I'll be shocked.
I don't think he'll be here. But even still, based on this season, I think 4 is ruthless. But it is what it is, Jamal. If you think he's a 4, it's a 4.
Yeah, it's a 4. It's a 4.
I'm gonna give Socrates a 6. Oof. I thought he was just above average. I thought he played well at the start of the season in certain games. He scored in the FA Cup. You know, helped us on our road to Wembley. He was. He's not. He's not the player who's going to take us forward. You know, his quality is not that we're going to build. We're going to move forward with him in it. But at the time he was here, whenever he played, he didn't let us down badly. He never let us down Mustafi badly. Yeah, he's not Kolasinac, and he never let us down Mustafi badly. But he was never good enough to say, he's a stalwart and look at those balls that he's playing.
Yeah, of course.
You know, because some of the balls, like, to go back to what I said earlier, some of the balls from defence into midfield from him were appalling. But, you know, he was a man who knew his limitations and he wouldn't try anything fantastic. He'd pass the ball out to the right wing or to the right-handed defender. Absolutely. To the right back, and then he dropped back to receive it. Yeah. That was the extent of his football.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, and then he knew he was a defender. He was a robust defender. I never saw anybody turn him inside out.
No.
Yeah. So I think a 4 from you is harsh, but to say it again. But I think I'm gonna give him a 6 because he wasn't that rubbish for me.
Man,
you know,
I'm calling you the Sith Lord now.
I'm not sentimental.
Okay. I just don't fancy the guy.
So from number 4, right? So we're going on to Rob Holding now.
Yeah.
All right. So for me, Rob Holding, I am a fan of his, but I don't think he's delivered enough. I know he's been hampered by injuries, but I don't think I've seen enough from Rob Holding. And I think him, just like Bellerin, due to their injury, they've lost out half a yard of pace. He wasn't pacey to begin with, but there's just certain things I'm seeing in his defensive game that I'm thinking, So maybe he may have to go out on loan or leave. But anyway, I will give Rob Holding a 6.5. Generous. The 0.5 is generous.
The 0.5 is for winning the FA Cup.
For winning the FA Cup. His second FA Cup medal.
Yeah, he's not done too badly.
Yeah, I think...
How many players could say that?
Yeah, I think I'm along the same. I think I'll give him a 7.
Oh.
I'll give him a 7 because considering the injury problems that he had, the lack of game time, he couldn't get into the side, played his way back into the side, finished the season strong. And I think those issues about, you know, the injury and the fitness, I think that hopefully that will clear up by next season.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to see him fit and playing for a full season. Because I think he's one of those players that Arteta really likes, and his attitude also. It's really good. So I'll give him a 7. Yeah. How about you, Gabs?
Holding. For me, I will give Holding a 6.5. Been a fairly steady Eddie season. Nothing spectacular. Nothing too untowards. Is he the future of the club? The way you're saying it, giving him a season, there's nothing to say. When you're looking at the top teams, and that's where we're aiming to move towards, I just can't see it. Top defenders have all-round great games, whether it's defending, whether they've got pace, whether they're strong, whether they're good in the air, and more importantly, they're passing. And, you know, that for me is what lets Rob Holding down is his passing, which again, you know, to say passing out from defence was heart-stopping at times. You know, what Arteta wants us to do. You know, we were in fear of, is the ball going to break down and they're going to be straight onto into our penalty box. But his season as a whole, yeah, I'm going to give Rob Holding a 6.5.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yep. So the next defender is Cedric, a new
Suarez.
addition. A lot of people raised eyebrows at this transfer. A lot of people were like, oh, why are we getting someone who's not even wanted by Southampton? Last year, you know, didn't even offer him a contract. Cedric, you know, hit the ground running with that goal against Norwich. I like him. But I can't rate him too highly. I can't give him too much of a
based
high
on
rating.
what you've seen so far, then.
Yeah. So based on what I've seen so far, I'll give him a 6.5. Sorry, a 6.5.
Yep. I think that's completely fair. I would give him a 6 because, like a true Arsenal signing, you know, it was an injury-laden intro to North London.
Mm-hmm.
And it's weird, every player that we sign gets injured.
Mm-hmm.
What are we doing in the backroom staff? I'll be honest, I haven't seen... He's a difficult player to judge. So from what I've seen, he looks like a backup. He looks like a steady Eddie. I don't think he's good enough to cement a first team right back slot.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he's maybe the type of player that you need. If your main man gets injured, he would come in and he wouldn't and he wouldn't melt down under pressure. So I think I would give him a 6. I want to see him, how he performs, you know, under pressure when the season starts, like game after game after game.
Yeah.
And then we would actually know his real quality and his real attributes. So I'll give him a 6.
Yeah, I've been quietly impressed with him, but like the two of you, haven't seen enough of him.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to give him above average 6.
Moving on. Okay, so the next defender is Shkodran Mustafi. All right, so Mustafi. I think, you know, we're all unanimous in decision. At the beginning of the season,
He was terrible.
we wanted to lynch him. The lynch mob was out after Mustafi. Mr. Calamity.
Yeah.
My goodness gracious me. We wanted him out in the January window. You know, we tried to hand him out, and this guy wouldn't leave. But then the arrival of Mikel Arteta, and this man has been a revelation. Like Gabe's pointed out earlier on in the show, we were panicking.
Yeah.
Mustafi's going to miss the FA Cup final. What do we do?
Yeah.
Right, so my rating is 7.5. Reason why it's not higher, because of his first half performances of the season. But he came back so strong. And man, last note, this guy can leap like a salmon. The man wins headers. And he doesn't look like a player that can, you know, win headers. But this guy, even when I've gone to see him live, I'm thinking, how are you winning these headers?
Yeah, absolutely.
Mustafi, kudos to you, my friend. Well done for recovery.
And what's your score?
I gave him 7.5.
7.5. I would give him. I was really impressed with him. I would give him an 8 from being exiled completely. You know, he wasn't in the picture. You know, we were all talking about when we're gonna sell him. Are we gonna recoup some of the money?
How
back?
are we going to kill him?
How are we gonna? Yeah, how are we gonna? There were people looking for him. So I think I don't know what Arteta has done. I don't know what he put in his beans. I don't know, but there's transformation there. You know, he upped his game. He's heading every ball, getting to every. There's still some mistakes there, you know, that needs to be ironed out. But honestly, I felt sorry for him that he missed the final because he deserved to be included in that team. So I'll give him an 8. Excellent.
Yeah,
and fans before lockdown were chanting his name, which is like, what's going on?
Yeah, I'll give Mustafi 8. I was quite impressed with his recovery from the trials and tribulations that his self-made or self-inflicted trials and tribulations that he's had to deal with. But Mikel Arteta's come in and just told him, listen, cut out that nonsense.
Yeah.
There's a footballer in there somewhere. Keep things
You are a
simple.
German international, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, he was trying to do some things sometimes that were beyond his capabilities, like these cross-field passes that were, you know, that never ever reached their target. And these passes, again, from the defence into midfield that were, you know, I could see what he was trying to do. He was trying to break
But you're not
lines,
Van Dijk.
but he just didn't have the capabilities, or they were intercepted.
Yeah.
But his recovery, and I was head in hands when he got injured in the FA Cup. I was like, oh my God, what are we going to do? Who's going to come in? Which is a testament to how he's managed to turn things around for himself.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, fair play to him. He stuck at it. He took the abuse. I don't know how these players stay on social media, you know, with the abuse that people send them. It's a testament to him that he just kept his head down. Arteta stuck with him. And, you know, he's, unfortunate to miss the FA Cup, but, he's got a medal.
Absolutely.
So I give him a 8.
Okay, so moving on, we have Callum Chambers.
You're a big fan.
I like Callum Chambers. I thought that he done well when he covered at right back, centre back. I didn't think he put a foot wrong, personally. I'm going to give him a 7.5. Yes, Christmas has come early with these generous ratings, but no, I'll give him a 7.5. I thought he was good.
Excellent. I think 7.5 is exactly what I had in mind, because up until the injury, he was looking like our most reliable defender. And, you know, that injury was unfortunate. So I would give him 7.5 also.
Yeah, I can't remember too much of Callum Chambers' season, to be fair. We had a chat yesterday, and I was a bit critical, but when I thought about it later on, I was like, you know what, I can't even remember what he was like. That was the early part of the season. That seems like a lifetime ago with everything that's gone on in 2020. So, like you say, I'll go with. I can't remember him putting too much of a foot wrong. So I'm going to give him an above average 6. And that's mainly because I just don't remember too much of his season, to be fair.
I remember him from the first game in Newcastle. And from there, didn't put a foot wrong for me. Okay, so the next one is Pablo Mari. Again, like Cedric, came in that window, got injured after the return. So I can't really give him too much of a high rating. But what I saw of him, he's all right. I'll give him a 5. It's not Jamal 4.
Yeah.
So 5 for me.
It's not 4. It's not harsh 4. I would give him. It's just, I think he only played 3 times, so it's not enough to actually rate.
Yeah.
So I'll just give him. I'll just give him a 5, and I would like to see more of him.
He's a neat player.
Yeah,
He's
Yeah.
neat. He's tidy.
that's
I'll give him a 5 as well. Too short a time, so I'm just going straight down the middle. 5.
absolutely.
Got to question his pace though. Anyway,
We'll get to that.
moving on. Okay, so Mr. Controversial himself.
Ooh,
Mr. Christmas has come early with the gifts he gives opposition from time to time. It's David Luiz. For me, I like this player, and a lot of people, Arsenal fans are torn, and a lot of Arsenal fans have forgotten what he was like, pre-COVID, and he was consistent. But a lot of people highlight the mistakes. For me, David Luiz gets an 8 because I think before the lockdown, he was an 8 and everyone was raving about him.
Mr. Marmite. You either love him or you loathe him. He's like, I was thinking yesterday, we talked about this. I was thinking yesterday about he's like a Nicolas Cage movie. So it's either great or what is that? He's over the season. I agree with you. He's been consistent for the most, but he will get those meltdowns at the Etihad, at the Anfield.
Mm-hmm.
Those mistakes is there, but I also appreciate how he's lately is guiding the youngsters. He's a father figure now to people like Saka, Martinelli. I think I agree with you. I would give him an 8, especially how he finished the season. Against Liverpool, he was magnificent. The semi-final and the final can't fault him. When he's focused and he's in the
zone.
In the zone, and his hair is right.
So you're giving him an 8?
I'm giving him an 8. Yes.
Yeah, I'll give him an 8.
I think because of how his personality and people jump on those mistakes too often, but there's a good player there, and Arteta likes him.
Yeah, I would just like him to be a bit more accurate with his long passes. He does these balloon passes, they're up in the air, like, the defender can see them coming a mile away with his binoculars. I like him a bit more flatter, but that's just me being overcritical.
And you have the right to.
But as a defender, when his head is right, and now Arteta seems to have found a system that works for him, and he's got protection either side, he seems to have been shining. So, yeah, I'll give Mr. Luiz, Sideshow Bob, I'll give him an 8. One of our 2 Sideshow Bobs. We're
coming to him.
Got plenty.
Yeah, we're coming to him. But from Sideshow Bob to the bodyguard, the rugby,
personal,
the rugby player. Yes, Kolasinac. And for me, oh my goodness, don't get me started. Kolasinac is getting a Lord Vader free. He's been poor. He's been woeful. Why is this player still at our club? I do not know. Kudos to you for fending off those thugs. However,
that's not your main job.
That's not your main
That's not what
job.
you're paid for.
Yeah.
However, your performances on the pitch, my friend, goodbye. Free for me. And that's being generous. That's being kind. Over to you.
3. I think that's way harsh. I think I'll give him a 4. But I agree with you. I just go and see what he brings. He's not effective left back. He's not, we tried him at left back, wing back, left wing almost. It's it's the same outcome, which is poor performances. So a 4.
And you say 3 is harsh.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Leroy on this and say 3 for me for Kolasinac. I think it's shocking.
Doesn't he get a point for saving a life?
No, that's not his job. That's not his job. It's not what Arsenal pay him to do. He was, go and be Ozil's personal security guard. You seem to excel at that. You seem to be world class at that. But footballer for Arsenal Football Club, no.
Hell no.
That's a no from me, Bob.
Goodbye. All right, so we're moving on to the midfielders now. And first up to bat
Ooh, that's a harsh one.
is Mr. Casper the Ghost, because we haven't seen him for a long time. And that's Ozil. I'm sorry, but his ratings is going in the realms of Kolasinac, and that's 3, and that's being generous. I'm not even going to speak on Ozil. I'm just giving him a 3.
Yeah.
Poor.
Yeah. I think again, I would give him a 4. Really disappointing because he's the only player that brings that creativity that we desperate for. He's a talented player, but application wise, he's not what Arteta wants, and that's why he shafted him. So I just give him a 4. Yeah.
Well, I have to say, for me, Ozil gets a big round 0. I can't stand that man. I can't stand
Not
that
even
man.
for appearing at the game.
I can't stand that man. I never liked him when he was at Madrid. I didn't see what the whole hoo-ha was about. We've had many discussions about Ozil when he was at Madrid. When he came, we weren't happy that he came, but we thought he's at the club now. We will support him, and our support has been proved to be a waste of time. The man is a shirker, shirks tackles, gets pushed off the ball like he's a little toddler. He doesn't deserve to wear that jersey, and it doesn't. It's embarrassing that everybody's gonna support who they support. They're gonna have their personal favourites, but for me, I can't stand Ozil, and I have a bottle of wine or a bottle of champagne waiting for the moment that he leaves. So he gets a big fat 0 and he can hold it.
So the next midfielder, swiftly moving on,
Yep.
is Lucas Torreira.
Need to get through these.
For me, Torreira will get a 6. I just can't remember what he's done. The games that he's featured in, and I just think what Emery tried to do to him to make him a number 10, I just don't get it. But Arteta is not really featured in his plans. So, yeah, I will give him a 6.5. 6.5.
Yeah, I'll just give him a 5. I knew there was a problem as soon as he's been linked with AC Milan constantly. He's not settled. I don't think he's settled. I don't think he fancies London. I don't think he sees a future at this club. So we have to act accordingly and move him on. And his performances are not of the high level that we want. So I'll just give him a 5, and I think he won't be here by next season.
Yeah, I agree. I'll give him a 5. I'm not a fan of his. Never have been. He came. No, tell a lie. When he came, I was happy that he came. He came with that defensive midfielder sort of
energy
that people that we needed. But having watched him, it's like, you know what, you're not fit to do the job for Arsenal. Maybe if you go to Italy, the way you play might fit in there.
Yeah.
But in the Premiership, he's footballers moved on from that Makelele. You're just going to sit in the back line and protect, that kind of role that he plays.
And Makelele was a footballer as well.
Yeah.
He could play.
He doesn't. Torreira just doesn't. I'm not sold on him. So I'm going to give him a 5, pretty average.
All right, so I'm gonna do combined. So I'm going to put 2 players. So the first one is Ainsley Maitland-Niles along with Joe Willock. So first one, Maitland-Niles, got to say he's been good for me. He at first, I didn't think he was performing. But when he went to right back, I felt that he really done a job. I'm going to give Ainsley 7.5, even close to an 8. 7.5. Joe Willock, he needs to go out on loan. He flattered to deceive in the Newcastle game. It was like, yeah, we think we've got a player there. From then, he just hasn't done anything. So for Willock, 5, and he needs to go out on loan.
Yeah, Maitland-Niles, I like him a lot. I know you have some reservations, but I like him a lot because everywhere that he's been used, he's been efficient. I remember first game of the season against Newcastle, I think he played at right back. He was the best player on the pitch. I would give him the way he finished the season. He lost his way halfway through where he wasn't in the side. But like many of our players, thanks to Arteta, they finished the season strong. So I would give him a solid 7, 7.5. And for Joe Willock, apart from the first 3 games, I'm being generous. The first 2 games of the season, I think he just lost his way. I think he needs a loan. He could benefit from a loan. So I would give him a solid 5. Do you agree with those?
Ainsley Maitland-Niles, I was not a fan of his. Didn't rate him at all. Certainly wasn't. Certainly when he turned up in the Europa League game on the pitch with his chain round his neck, I was like, my thoughts of him went through the floor. And I was like, what kind of nonsense is this? You're carrying on like you're playing Sunday League football down one with scrubs.
Jumpers for goalposts, and staff's chained to the fence.
Exactly. He's like, come on, behave. But in the last few games where Arteta's played him in different positions and he's excelled, he's lifted and changed my view of him. So I will give him a 7. Joe Willock, he started off well, but he's lost his way. I don't understand why he comes on. I don't know. He just seems to be on the pitch just to waste time.
Headless chicken.
Yeah, I don't understand what he does, why he hasn't been sent out on loan. Maybe that will happen for him next year, but I've been quite unimpressed with his performance this season, and I'll agree with you guys and give him a 5.
Yep.
And we need to go.
What I was going to suggest, I think we're going to have to scrap the play for the badge and the bin.
We can still do it, but just go through him.
So just do like you did there to Guendouzi and Xhaka.
Keep going with the audio.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So the next 2.
Guendouzi next. Just make it a little bit quick. Yeah. So Guendouzi next.
So the next 2 we're going to do is Matteo Guendouzi and Granit Xhaka.
Yep.
For me, I'm a fanboy of Guendouzi. I felt that in the Emery period, he was the only one at the time, apart from Aubameyang and Leno, when we needed, someone to lift us. I felt he was trying to grab the game by the scruff of the neck. It was, it was evident in the Spurs game at home, the Villa game, the Palace game. He was the only one trying to lift the team. So for me, Guendouzi gets an 8, despite what he's done. Granit Xhaka, oh my days. I can go on for days and days, but I'll keep it short and sweet. Granit Xhaka, my goodness, I'm giving him an 8.5 because the way he's come back, listen, the lynch mob was out for him as well as Mustafi. But Granit Xhaka, the way he's turned it round, my goodness, kudos to Arteta on that one. So
what are you going to give him?
I'm giving him 8.5.
Excellent. Guendouzi, I was never really a big fan like other people because there was always, he thinks he's better than he really is. He brings a lot of energy, a lot of passion, which you see from a lot of young players. But when you look at the substance, that's how you should judge a player, his performances. And the way he fell out with Arteta, that just took a lot of points off. So I would give him a solid. I'm going to be generous just because of the way he started the season. I would give him a 6 because he's let himself down big time. And for who's the Xhaka, the transformation is complete. From the guy that we all used to clown to, the first man in midfield now. He improved all aspects of his game, defensively, passing, had his issues halfway through, but he overcame that. And I would give him a solid 8.
Yeah, Guendouzi. I'll give Guendouzi 7.5. I thought it started off okay for him. Brought some energy. Looked like he was going to be our man in the midfield.
Yeah.
Played well to start off with, but lost his way. Like you say, thought he was better than he was. Thought he was bigger than he was, and that has let him down. He's let himself down. So I'm going to give him a 7.5 for his performance throughout the season. Xhaka, you know how much I dislike Granit Xhaka. I think he's really been quite average for us in the middle of the park. But Mikel Arteta has transformed him into a different player.
100%.
I still think we need to do better than him, but for his performances this season, for everything that he's gone through, I'll agree with you, Lee, and I'll give him an 8.5. I think he's been a credit to himself.
Yeah. So the next two players, so we're going to end off on a midfield player and go into forwards as well. So 2 more players. So one from the midfield, which is Bukayo Saka. And the other one starting into the forwards is Alexandre Lacazette. My goodness gracious me. He's on the same plateau as Kieran Tierney. This guy, 8.5 straight. He's been a revelation. Young sensation and been brilliant. Lacazette, man, I don't want to sound harsh, but his performance over the course of a season, hasn't been that impressive. He's tried, he's huffed, he's puffed, but just, nah. For me, sorry, Alexandre Lacazette, but you get a 6.5. Sorry.
Okay.
That sounds harsh, man.
Yeah.
All right, 7. He won us the cup. He was part of the cup winning side, but
Yeah. Well, I'll start with Bukayo Saka. I think he's been a star for us. For a 19-year-old, 4 goals and was it 11 assists? For a 19-year-old, coming into a shaky defense. That's just that's fantastic. So I would give Bukayo Saka a 9. And for Lacazette, I'm a big fan of Lacazette, but he's not bringing the end product is just not there. You know, he's defensively he's okay. His hold up is average, but you know, I would give him a 6 for the season. How about you, Gabs?
Bukayo Saka, I will give him a 9. I agree with you with Jamal. I think he's had an outstanding season, the young man, considering how young he is.
Absolutely.
He flew out of the traps. The fans were right behind him, which brought his own added pressure.
Left wing, right wing.
Wherever he was
midfield.
played, he performed. He brought goals. He brought energy. He brought drive. He brought excitement back. So I'll give the young man a 9. Lacazette, I'm not. You know, it seems like I'm not a fan of anybody that plays for the club. But I just expect so much more if you're wearing our jersey. And I think that Lacazette, you know, people say, yeah, he does a great job up front. But running around and being busy is a minimum requirement as a footballer. Yeah. You know, you don't get extra points for tracking and chasing and harrying. That is modern football. So for him running around, that doesn't bring him any extra points for me.
And he didn't hit 20 goals a season, like ever.
Well, his goal return ratio is distinctly average.
Yeah.
And what are goals?
Goals are points and prizes.
You know?
Thank you. And they're at a
premium.
Thank you.
Goals are at a premium in the Premiership, and when those chances come along, you need somebody who's going to bang them away.
Exactly.
And we haven't got that. So for me, I will give Lacazette a bang average 5.
So let's do the.
And we're nearly coming to the end of these guys, so that's good.
Okay, so we're moving on to the man of the hour. Oh, my goodness. And someone who came in the summer. So we've got Nicola Pepe and we've got the man of the hour, this saviour, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Please sign. Anyway, I'll go with Pepe. A lot of people, opposing fans have been mocking him, you know, his contribution. But he has come in with assists. It's his first full season. You know, like Gabe said, that the Premiership can be that beast that, you know, can be unforgiving. But he's got used to it. He's worked under 3 managers. Let's not forget that as well. So at the end of the day, I see that he is, you know, getting there. For me, Pepe gets a 7.5. And if I've got to, for this next player, if I give Martinez a 10, this guy gets a 10.5 because he's our saviour. He has been our saviour. Without his goals, where would we be languishing? Over to you.
We would be.
Enough said.
We would be battling positions with, Brighton of this world, But yeah, I think I'll start with Pepe. I think people are looking at his price tag, but I think overall throughout the season, based on his performances, I think I would give him a good 7.
Yeah.
There's more to come from him. And for Aubameyang, what can you say? You know, he's the best striker in the league, one of the best signings we've ever had. I would give him a 10. You have to give him a 10. You know, the season started with him scoring at Newcastle and ended, with the FA Cup victory.
Well, for me, Aubameyang gets a 10. I left 10s, the gap for 10. I gave everybody 9.5, I think was the highest. Tierney and Martinez. So I left that space for Aubameyang. Pepe gets a 8.5 from me because I thought I wasn't impressed with him at the start, but that's the whole first season, new boy to the league. But as the season's gone along, I've been more and more impressed with his work rate. Arteta's clearly had words with him and asked him to do more. So yeah, I'll give him a 8.5.
Okay, so
do the 3
we're gonna end with the 3. So the first one is Reece Nelson, the second one is Eddie Nketiah, and the third one is Gabriel Martinelli. All right, so for me, Reece Nelson may have to be loaned out. Endeavour, yes, hard work, can't fault him. But when it comes to just quality, I don't think it's quite there. I think it's lacking. He may have to go out on loan. So I will give him about a 7.5 because he does track back. I like the way he tracks back. And Ketia as well. It was good for him to go to Leeds, get a loan spell, and the way Leeds play with the pressing. I see something. I see quality in Eddie. I don't want him to go out on loan again. I want him to stay with the club and learn. Still a learning process with him. So I will give Eddie a 7.5. And this guy, the starlet, future, Gabriel Martinelli. So what I will do, I will give him 9. Impact. Hit the ground running.
Excellent. I think I agree with all that you said. I think in Ketia, I'm a little bit unimpressed with him. He doesn't quite know when to release the ball and when to hold it. He's still learning his craft, so he could do with a loan. I would give him a 6. For Nelson, I'm a big fan of Nelson. I don't think he had as much opportunities that he should get at that age. So I'll give him a 7 because he started the season very well. For Martinelli, I'm heartbroken that he got injured because he's a future star of the team, and I would give him an 8. That's how impressed I am with him. Quality player.
Yeah, for me, Reece Nelson, I'm going to give him a 7. I thought he had a pretty steady season. Yeah. A lot of room for improvement. I'm going to give him a 7. No, actually, I'll give him a 7.5. Yeah. I will give Eddie Nketiah a 7 because I think there's a lot of room for improvement for him up front. He can be a goal poacher, but he needs to do more to his game. Does a lot of tremendous work, which is fantastic. But, these guys are young, so I'm not going to be overcritical.
And we're blessed to have these youngsters, by the way.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And Martinelli, I will give him an 8.5.
We have to also give credit to Emery for including some of these youngsters in the side.
Yeah.
I thought he hit the ground running and was unfortunate to get injured when he did, but it probably was a blessing in disguise.
Mm-hmm.
Took him out of the limelight and allowed him to get a breather. Otherwise, I think the fans would have been demanding he gets played more than he should have at his age.
Because he's still raw.
Yeah.
So we've done the players. So now the manager. I know we've spoke about him, but what would we give? Okay, all 3 of them, just quickly. Emery, Freddie, and Arteta. What would we give them? We'll start with you, Jamal.
I think I'll start with Emery. I would give Emery a 5 because he just lost. He's not here anymore. He got sacked, and he got sacked for a reason because he lost control of the team. And the performances weren't up to scratch.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said before, the job was too big for him. So I would give him a generous 5. Freddie Lindbergh, I'll give him a 10 because he came in and did what he had to do.
Mm-hmm. And
for Arteta, I would give him a 10.5 for being
10.5 out of 10.
I'll give him a 10 because he exceeded all our expectations because I was worried because of his experience and where he came from that the job would be too big for him, but it wasn't. Made the adjustments that we needed at the right time during game and outside and outside the pitch and off the pitch. I'll give him a 10.
For me, I'll give Emery a 3. I thought the end of his reign was shambolic, and it couldn't come
the daggers out
any time sooner.
Lord Vader.
Freddie, I'll give him a 10. Stepped into the breach when we needed somebody to steady the ship. The ship was rocking wildly at the time. The club was rocking from top to bottom. And Arteta, again, stepped in when the club needed him, and I'll give him another 10. And he steadied us and moved us forward.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, so this has been the Magic Hat Show. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in and listening. My name is Leroy.
My name is Jamal.
My name is Gabriel.
Yes, I like the two Roddies would say, is good night from me.
Good night from him.
Good night from you.
Good night. And thank you for listening. And thank you for watching us. Take care. Cue that music.